Hello, it's Jane here up at the allotment again with Rocky, who's just arrived, thinking I must have cheese in my pocket or something, I think. Haven't got anything, Rocky? And it's almost the end of August here in the UK, which, as many of you will know, is prime harvesting season. You've seen something. Oh, butterflies, look at that. And every year at this time, I regret the fact that I haven't made one of these. What do you think? It's called a harvesting apron. It's also known as a gathering apron or any of these things, but basically what it is, it's a really simple thing to knock up that will just make your harvesting life that much easier. Saying that, I haven't actually tested it out yet, but the idea is you instead of just having one hand and a basket, photobombing, instead of just having a basket over one hand and one hand to pick, or having something on the ground and using both hands and putting it in the ground, it leaves you with both hands free to pick things. So for example, your apples, your beans, whatever it is that you need both hands to pick with, it leaves them free. And then instead of having to bend or carry or pick something up, you just pop it in the basket. And then at the end, what you do is untie the knot and drop it into whatever receptacle you're looking at. So what I'm going to do today is show you just how easy this was to put together, and we'll come back at the end and actually see if it works. So what I've had great fun doing the last few days is trying to decide what sort of material to use. I have got a stash of material going back years, from when I used to go to the local mill. It sounds really, well, it is ancient. You used to go to the local mill and you could buy it by weight. So I used to come back home with, you know, pounds of weight and pounds in money of basically sheeting material, but all sorts of stuff. I have had a bit of a clear out recently, but I've kept the things that I think I'm going to be able to use. But what I want is something that ultimately is going to be carrying. It's got to be something tough that's going to carry the weight. It's got to be something that's been washed, and I know I can just bung in the washing machine, so it's got to be washable. And yeah, that's about it really. But there are so many things you can use that you've probably got around the home. So if I just show you, well, you might not have one of these. I love bark cloth. It's not, I don't know if it is produced anymore, but it was primarily sort of 1950s, 1960s curtain material, and you get all sorts of lovely, I mean, this is an old curtain I picked up from a charity shop, £1.50, and it's actually got the little curtain clips on, but you know, it's a bit of a Marmite material. You either love it or hate it. I love that. That is quite gaudy, and I like that, and it's this beautiful material. And that would be perfect for pinny making, but I'm reluctant to use it because ultimately it's going to be something for the allotment. So much as if I was making it as a present for someone, yes, I might do that as a treat, but because it's quite a rare material to get hold of now and it costs quite a bit when you get it, I'm not going to use that. Another thing I had in my stash is just basically some hessian. This would be great, but it actually, as far as sewing with it, it's quite tough. And also, it does pull a bit. The weft and the warp do pull a little bit. And so I've actually got something completely different in mind for that. So that'll turn up another time. Again, to do with the allotment, to do with harvesting, but it'll be far more suited to another project I've got in mind. My next thought was gingham. Now, although this isn't true gingham, it is a check, because the first pinny I ever made was in school, yonkers ago, as I say, and it was gingham. It was pale blue. It was a full-length article with a big patch pocket on the front, and you had to embroider your name on the front. So yes, it was pale blue, and I think my name was in purple, just going across the front. And ever since then, to me, a true apron is always gingham. But so I thought about this one, but again, that's quite a new material. I probably won't use that for anything else. I haven't found a use for it yet. But it's not cotton, it's a bit of a mix. It's tough, but I don't know, I haven't washed it. It's an unknown quantity. So it's a nice big square that I'll use for something else. And I thought I'd back that with this one because it's going to be 2 layers, which is like a linen mix. But again, it's too good for the job, really. I can do a dress. I can do a top in that. I've actually got a gorgeous grey linen dress that would be perfect for this. And I haven't worn the dress, must be for a couple of years. And I was looking at it and thinking there's enough material in that to do this with. But it seems a bit, I don't know. It seems a bit wrong to chop up a lovely grey linen dress for this. So what I've come down to is an old duvet cover. And this is what I mean about try and find something around your home that you can repurpose, especially if you haven't made one before. So it's basically just a bit of a practice. And as I say, as happens with me, you'll probably know by now, it's something I haven't tried before. I'm going to be trying it out here and now in front of you. You know, I probably could have done with a practice pinny, but this is great. It's a duvet cover. It's cotton. It's tough. It's an old duvet cover. In fact, I've used the other half for something else. There is plenty of it. And the pattern is such, unlike the gingham, where it won't matter if things don't match up. Again, we're not on the Great British Sewing Bee. It doesn't matter that much. But it also gives me, and I liked this idea, can you see there? It's also got, is that the right side? Yes. It's got this nice strip across the sides, which will be perfect for the waistband. So I'm going to use that for that, make it really, really easy on myself. It's been washed. It's a known quantity. So I'm going to have a little practice with this. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to go for roughly 30 inches wide. I've folded this double. I've put the edges together roughly, as I say. You know what? It's a practice. It's something for the allotment. It's not for anyone else. It's for me. So if it doesn't work, I shall face the consequences myself. But I want to cut out basically about 30 inches wide. You want it to be enough to go from one hip to the other, but allow for some gathering. So that's 30 inches wide. If I then go, you can see basically what I'm doing is cutting out a nice square here. I want to leave enough up there to be able to cut that width for my waistband. So 30 inches there. Eventually, I'm not using a set square or anything. It's very, very much by eye. The amount of things I've made by eye. Starting from when I was younger, sort of in my teens, and I used to do, I thought I was very clever. Used to do my own clothes, and so many things were made by eye. You see, that doesn't add up, does it? But you know what it'll have to do? The top one adds up and the bottom one adds up. That's it, that'll do. And they'd end up being held together by safety pins. But, you know, it was the late 70s, early 80s, and that was acceptable at the time. So, you know, it sort of never left me, really. I get bored as well really quickly, as you know. So I might get to the end of something, and again, if it's for me, if it's not as a present, I tend to rush the ending. So there we go. That is a rough square. If you took a set square to that, it probably wouldn't be ideal. Scissors. Have a sharp pair of scissors. These are new to me, and I tell you, can you hear that? Can you hear that? Hold on, let's leave. I love that sound. Not only is it quite therapeutic, but it just shows that the scissors are really sharp and cutting through the material beautifully. For a long while I used pinking shears. Oopsie, be careful at that stage because you don't want to pull your material. For a long stage I used pinking shears, and as you can imagine they got used for all sorts of other things, especially when the girls were little. Look, you see I'm not being straight on the line there. That's better. So cards and gift tags and that sort of thing. And yeah, they were rubbish. And so it was actually a nightmare to cut things out. So that's that piece. Don't forget where that piece is, Jane. Okay. And let's get that out of the way. I put it with the tomatoes in the corner, the naughty corner. Right, okay, I did say now I was going to cut this long piece for the sash because I think that lends itself very, very nicely to being the sash. And what I'm going to do again, I don't even think I'm going to measure this. Excuse me. I'm just going to fold along this line. There we go, nice straight, well, say nice straight line. That line there. And that will be the top of my sash. And this back down here will be the bottom of my sash. And with a fair wind and some good luck, let's weight that down a bit. That should be, let me just see what I'm doing there. Is that 2 bits? I'm actually, yeah, this is actually double again, so it's actually twice as long as this, which is way more than I need. But in a moment, I'll show you how we're going to create the sash or the waistband. I keep calling it a sash, the waistband for our apron. It's bucketing down outside. I don't know if you can hear it on the skylights, but it's actually this is something really nice to do. Hopefully it won't take long. And there we are. So now we've got the sash, which we've got double length. I keep saying sash, you know what I mean. We can fold it that way. And we have a rough waistband, okay? We can adjust the length when we finish it, but actually, you know what, it's quite nice because you've got that bit at the end on both ends. So that would be nice. So there's the sash, stroke waistband. I've got a sash in my head, I don't know why. The only other bit you're going to need to cut, and I'll do that now, is a bit to create the ties that you are going to put on the waistband to be able to tie your pinny up, your apron, your pinny, your gathering basket, your harvest pocket. Take your pick, whichever one of those you want. And again, I'm just going to use the line that's already there. I've got something under there. What have I got? My pins. You know what? I've lost half my pins. I've had that many different projects on the go that they all get put away in different baskets and different bags. Yeah, so all I'm going to do now is cut another rectangle. I'm going to cut it smaller this time, narrower, because this is going to be folded over 1, 2, 3, 4 times, I think. Yeah, and that'll create the tie. So as you can see, look at that. Straight through. Oh, I do love scissors that work. Yeah, as you can see, it's just a series of rectangles. I'm just concerned it's going to be a bit too long. Right, that's it. Piece is done. Long piece for the tie. Wider piece for the waistband. And 2 great big rectangles for the pocket. Right, let's get on. Okay, what I'm going to do now is just sew up the 2 sides of the rectangle. Remember, because I had a fold in the material anyway, I don't need to sew up the 3rd side, so I'm just going to sew up the 2 sides. I'm going to be honest with you, I just held it up against me then and it was almost tripping me over, it was too long. So I've just taken another 4 inches off. I'll show you, I've just taken this off the bottom of it. So now it measures 26 inches. So do try and remember to do that. Just hold it up against you and see. Do not be tempted to make it too short because you'll regret it when you come to put your pocket together. So again, I'm roughly making sure 2 sides are equal. And I am going to put my machine on a normal stitch. There we are. Is that a normal stitch? I don't know if that is a normal stitch. That's a normal stitch. We'll soon find out. That's a zigzag stitch. Okay, where's my normal stitch gone? Must be that one. Okay, well, we've started off with a bit of a zigzag. There we are, and I'm going to make it a bit longer because we don't need to have it too neat and too precise. This is such a therapeutic thing to do. As I say, I'm looking out onto the garden there. It's bucketing down. I've been up to the allotment this morning and actually picked some things, and this would have been very, very handy then. But I'm glad to be back inside nice and dry now. Now I'm going to turn it the right way around. And those little ears are going to come to the front. Now at this point you want to make sure that you've got it the right way around, so very little difference in the back and the front of this material, but it's just slightly nicer at the front. Okay, that's it, that's my pocket. What I can do now is those little ears, what can I use? I'll use this great big ruler here. You can just push them through. You see how I'm doing that there? You see it's a bit of a double. There we are. Push that through now, get a nice sharp corner. And then the same with the other one. Be careful sometimes, don't be too vigorous with this, because many times I've pushed right through the material. Okay, I am going to just top stitch. If you wanted to, you could iron it first. I'm not going to iron it first. Again though, I'm going to do it in two parts. I'm going to start from the folded edge because I don't want to end up with a gather at the end. I want all my gathering to be in the right place at the top. Yeah, you could fold that seam. If you were following a proper pattern, they would say press that nice and neatly before you top stitch. But I'm just going to roll it back like that and top stitch. And maybe play a little bit of music while I do. Okay, so what you've got now around your rectangle is a nice sharp edge. Okay, what I want to do now is measure the bottom of my pocket, which of course was 30 inches but has now had a seam allowance. It's 29.5 inches. Right, okay. I want to start putting on where I'm going to put my buttonholes. Now the idea of the buttonholes are, as I said before, so that you can bring them up to a central point at the top of your apron. So it's up to you how many you put on. Most people just put on 4 apparently. Let me just see if you can see that. Let me see, there we go. But I'm going to see how that goes and see how well we can measure. You want to put your first one, oh, let's see where I want my first buttonhole to go. It's not actually for a button, as I say, it's for the tape to go through. I'm going to put my first one about 1 inch in. Okay, so about there, and 1 inch in on that side, there we go, and about 1 inch high. So that will be, that cross I've made there is going to be the bottom part of my, just bumped into the tripod, is going to be the bottom part of my buttonhole. Then I can, easiest way to do it is fold it in half, put your corners together so that you've then got a central point, let's see, so you know that's the middle. And you know what, I'm going to put a pin there, give me a second, and I'll show you why. Okay, where have I said? There we go. I'm going to put a pin there. So I know that that's roughly the middle of my fabric. As I say, it doesn't really matter. You can't go too far wrong with this. Can you see that? Let me just see. Yeah, okay. So I've got my pin in the centre and I'm going to go an inch up. So that's roughly the height of the pin. Roughly there-ish. I know it's a little bit higher there, doesn't matter. And 2 inches either side. And they are going to be my central buttonholes. So all I need to do, I'm saying all I need to do, I haven't done a buttonhole for years. I did have a practice last night and it seemed to all come back to me, but we shall see. So what I've got there now, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 markings, all about an inch up from the edge, 1 inch in from each side, 2 inches away from the middle. Okay, use centimetres if you wish. Right, let's take it to the sewing machine. If I can just show you on my sewing machine, I've got particular settings here, 3, 2, 4 and 1, and they have marked which edges of the buttonhole that each of those correspond to. Then if I go over to this style here, you've got the corresponding settings. So you've got the left side, the top and the bottom, and the right side. And all you do when you want to do a particular side of your buttonhole, you move that and it will move the needle for you. So let's have a go. Okay, here we go. Now, I know you can get buttonhole attachments for your sewing machines, but I haven't got one, or if I have, I don't know where it is. So I am just going to start on one of the vertical sides. I don't know if it goes top to bottom or bottom to top, but we'll soon find out. You want to turn the length of your stitch down to the smallest one, and we'll see which way this goes. Hopefully the right direction. Yay! And again, I'm just doing this roughly by eye. I'm going to stop on the outside. I know to stop at the inch there, and then I'm going to go across the bottom, and that'll give me a slightly wider stitch. This time I want to stop on the left hand side. Rocky's just come in from his walk. He won't go out because it's raining. And then I am going to go up the third edge, and that should take me all the way back up to the top. So it's quite strange, and by the time I get back up to the top, is that the top? Yeah. I go back onto one of my going across stitches, and if I've done that anywhere near right, which we'll soon find out. Oh, I think that's pretty good. Let me show you. Can you see that? Let me show you. I have created a buttonhole. Okay, so what you want to do with those, do them all the way along. That is big enough now for my tie to go through, or I hope. I haven't made my tie yet, but I need to slit that down the middle, with which I'm going to use a seam ripper. Let's see if I can do it on camera. Should be able to. It's going through a double lot of material. Of course, you want to be careful you don't go through the actual stitches. That's it, look at that. Look at that. Okay, 3 more to go. Okay, so I've got my buttonholed rectangle here, and here is the long strip that I cut for the waistband. Now all I want to do, first things first, is fold the 2 ends together. Like I say, we can make the ends adjustable. Whoopsie. At the end, so we can do the ends at the end, but what I'm going to do now is mark the centre of the waistband, and then what I really need to do is find out, put that in the middle of my waist and find out just how far I want the apron to come out. So really, at the front part of my hip bone, I'm going to put another mark, and I'll show you why in a minute. One of my hips is there, which means that the other one of my hips theoretically should be over here somewhere. So again, I know that pin in the middle is going to be the centre, so I'm just going to fold it over there and put another pin in there. And so this bit now, oh dear me, how times have changed. That is now my front waist. Okay, now if you are making this for a friend, you can adjust it as you wish. It doesn't really matter, as long as it's going to, the apron bit's going to be on the front and not all the way around. You can't really go wrong. But what I want to do, the reason I've marked those pieces, is I'm going to fold the rest of the waistband in half. Again, doing it all by eye, like so, and I'm going to, where the hip pins are, as I will now call them, I'm going to sew up to there. So basically I'm sewing a long sash, so I'm going to go up to there, and again on the other side, if I fold that in half, this looks far trickier than it actually is. It's because I'm trying to sort of stand behind the tripod and do it. But I'm going to put another mark there. And then you are going to sew along. You've got your top side done. Let's see. You are going to sew along, all along that side, all along that side, but you are going to leave the central bit, which is there, open. Okay, what I've ended up with here is my waistband, which I've turned the right way around now, and the main bag part of my apron, which, as you can see, is too wide to fit between the opening section, which is here. Remember, I marked with a pin where I wanted the apron edges to end, if that makes sense. And what I wanted to do was running a gathering stitch along here, and actually, if I go around the other side, I did use a bright blue thread to make it easier to spot and for you to be able to see. But what I'm going to do is zoom in it and show you how I'm going to gather it all up. I'm actually quite pleased with that. I've got my apron gathered reasonably neatly, I think, and reasonably evenly, and inserted into the pocket that we left in the waistband, the open bit of the waistband, the little envelope. And then what I've done is I have top stitched all the way around the tops, the sides, and the other edge of the waistband, just to give it a little bit more structure. And the last thing I need to do is attach a tie in the middle. Now, if you remember at the beginning, I cut out the main pockets, I cut out the waistband, and then I cut out a narrower strip to make the tie. Well, all I've done with that narrower strip, excuse me, is fold it in half, and then as it's folded in half, fold each edge in on itself again. So basically it's folded in four. So you've got 4 layers of material there, nice and neat at the top, reasonably neat at the bottom. I haven't finished the edges, to be honest. I'm going to see how far they fray. Again, if it was a gift, I would make those really nice. I might cut them on an angle, but we'll see how they go, and I'll probably just top stitch over them. But what I need to do now is attach that to the centre of the apron. Okay, you can see that I've now used several rows of zigzag stitch up and down to help give the strongest possible anchor to this tie. So all that remains now is to take it up to the plot and see if it works. Fingers crossed. Okay, here it is. You can see why I shortened it a bit. If I'd left that 4 inches on, I'd have been tripping over it. But here we go. This is how it works. Okay, take one strap, thread it through the buttonhole, like so. Thread it. Are you going through? Go on. Oh, he can't. He's been a naughty boy. He's had to go on his lead. He went wandering through the next door neighbour's allotment. There we go. Through there like that. I know. And then we take that one, go through the outside buttonhole. She actually quite enjoyed doing those buttonholes. I thought they were going to be the worst bit, but you know what? It's really dead straightforward. And that's the beauty of this. It's so straightforward to do. It looks way more complicated than it is. So there we go. I've got that tie there. I've got that tie there. Pull up my pocket and gather. If you want to, you can put a pretty bow on, like that. Okay, there it is, all ready for harvesting. So I'm going to go and look at those beans. Worked a lot better than I expected. I've got a burgeoning pocket of beans, and what I want to do now is just show you the final touch, which I think is genius.